Now, you've heard me say many, many times that we're a company that wants to be successful because of our products, not in spite of our products. And so, when we introduced VSET, which was the prototype name, now MonaVie Balance, we couldn't really, I didn't really have enough to take myself. We were just selling it to gold and above and all that kind of stuff. And then we launched Balance, and oh, should I tell you this? Yeah, I'm going to tell you. So, this is what happened. When you come to the super site, we'll edit this out later. So with Balance, I had to do a forecast of what we think. We run the numbers, and there's all these formulas you can imagine. We said, well, right. So in Canada at the moment, Balance is selling at about 7 times more than we forecasted it would sell. So not bad. So I'm not really able to keep hold of any to try it, right? So I know the science, and I'm like, so here's my experience. I've been on it now for just over a week, properly. AM, PM pill. I can't believe the difference.
Yep, that's why you're so nice.
I can't believe it. Like, even Lucy said to me, now, there's times, so I'll tell you the one thing that gets me is that I'm not somebody who stresses a lot. I think I've been fortunate, I think. But I do get snappy with the kids. When I'm tired or when I'm trying to do like 50 million emails at once, things like that, I get snappy with the kids. I don't have as much patience as I should for a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. Because they're 5 and they're 3. They're gonna paint the wall, right? That's what they're gonna do. But I get snappy with them. Just this week, like I've been totally patient with them. And even Lucy said, I can see it. Like it's been noticeable. Like you've been much more patient with the kids. Do you know what? I'm enjoying being with my kids. Because I'm not consciously on edge, like, like you're going to break something. It's a whole different experience for me this week, and I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. And so for me, I'm a huge proponent of the Balance product. I think from a pricing point of view, it's awesome. $64 for a month supply. I think from a science background and what it does, such a meal is fantastic. And so we wanted you to understand a little bit more about Balance. I want everyone to be as excited as I am, because I know how wonderful this product is. And so we have one of our team, one of our distributors, who has experience in this background. It's somebody that I've come to know a little bit. We're starting to get to know each other more. It's somebody that I have a huge amount of respect for, somebody that has dedicated themselves to understanding how the mind and how the body works. So please give a big, warm round of applause welcome for our Silver Executive, Gillian Drader.
Thank you for such a lovely introduction, and thank you for asking me to share this morning. What I'm hoping to do I think I've got about 15 minutes, right? So I'll do my best, because I get really passionate about this topic, and I could really share for a long time, but I won't, I promise. Maybe another time we'll do something different. But what Stephen has asked me to talk about this morning is stress, and my role in my world outside of MonaVie is that I am a psychotherapist. I work a lot with people in a counseling setting. And a lot of what I've worked with over the years is trauma. And actually I'm fortunate, and one of the things that I love about MonaVie is the community. And that I get to sit here with all of you, and I get to stand up here today and see people in front of me who I care a lot about, that I'm getting to share life with professionally. I have a good colleague here with me this morning who you'll probably get to know and be fortunate to know. But there's something about the community and something about the commitment to quality products. So I've been involved as a distributor for about 4 years, but I'm so passionate about what MonaVie is now introducing in terms of balance. And as I was thinking yesterday about speaking today and trying to be concise about what I wanted to get to, the word that came to me was synergy. And what I love about that word is, I'm sure that last night when you were hearing Mark share, for those that were able to be there, you heard about synergy in the body and our blood sugar levels and how all of that works together, and how the products work together. And what I also want to look at today is our body, mind, spirit, and how those all work together and how it's all one big package. So as I entered my professional life many years ago, it's been over 20 years now that I've been in the counseling field, and I've worked with children and youth, I've worked with families, I've worked in addiction, and all kinds of different things. Along my journey, I was introduced to a psychologist who taught me a lot more and came to help me understand the importance of our brain and neurology and how all of that interacts with our well-being. And so stress for me started to take on a whole other meaning, because I see people quite regularly who are coming to me with all kinds of different issues, but are really stressed in all of it. And you can imagine that when you're dealing with, whether it be a traumatic history, a traumatic event, other things that we've all dealt with, just busy lives, family stresses, whatever it might be, I started to really understand how looking at how our neurology works and how that affects our brain in the context of stress is really, really important. So I was sort of one of those jumping up and down going crazy people when Balance was introduced, because I already knew that the products were great in terms of overall health. When I was introduced to it, it was by a good friend, as many of us have been, who knew that my husband was having major back issues. And my husband has a number of herniated discs, he has all kinds of health problems, and we were in a health crisis when I was introduced to the juice. And we saw a huge difference. But I also started to notice a difference in how I was feeling. So as curious of a person as I am, I started to look at, okay, how does the work that I do with the people that come to my office on a weekly basis, when I'm out teaching on trauma or talking about how our bodies are impacted by trauma, how does this all fit together? And so when Balance was introduced, I just could not get over the potential. So I want to talk a bit about what happens in our body in general. How does stress actually affect our lives? And why is this product, along with the other MonaVie products, so important to what we can offer to the people in our lives and the people that we come across, the people that I see who are struggling? And I really do find, and I don't know if this is true for yourselves or people you know, people are looking for a non-pharmaceutical alternative. They really are. And I see people all the time, and absolutely, sometimes pharmaceuticals are needed, and I'm not standing up here saying stop taking medications, because they're needed sometimes. But as a complement, sometimes even to medication, where we can start putting natural things into our body, I really do believe, and I've looked at all the science and understood the power of our body to heal. That when we are in that synergy, when our mind, body, and spirit are working together and getting the things that they need, we can heal physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in all those ways. But what does happen with stress? And what I want to give you is a bit of a kind of quick overview, a bit of an example, if you like, of how stress can go from a one-time event or just having a really tough week. I've actually been having quite a different experience this weekend for me. I'm a grandparent. I know, it's hard to imagine. But I am a grandparent. I'm married a wonderful man who has 5 sons, and we have little grandchildren. So we offer to take the grandkids for the weekend. They're 2 and 4. I have not had children of my own. My body has not allowed me to do that. So this is a whole new experience for us. So it was like, wow, okay, I'm kind of been up and down all night and trying to say, and I'm talking about stress today. Okay, this is a real life example. So I've been eating in my juice this morning, and the kids, what's that? Grandma's right, I'm just here. I need some too. So just that opportunity to sort of be living it right now and know myself how much it helps. But so those everyday stresses, they wear us down too. And then we can end up then with chronic stress. So if we've had a long period of time, so for example, even with my husband, he's had chronic health issues for quite a while. That gets really tiring. But what does our body do with all that? And that's the amazing thing about our bodies. That when we are undergoing stress, if you sort of think about going along, and life's pretty okay, you know, we have our ups and downs, but we're doing okay, and then something happens. Maybe it's a car accident, or maybe it's an unexpected financial stress, or a health issue. So our bodies go into stress mode, they go into shock. Well, what happens in our physiology is actually our brains dump a whole bunch of amazing neurochemicals and hormones into our body that are there to help us. So things like adrenaline, and you've all had that experience of getting a big shock, and it's like, oh, I'm kind of vibrating right now, and that's something to get our body in fight or flight. If we need to run, we need to be prepared to do something. Other things, one that I'll talk about more today is cortisol. Cortisol gets dumped into our body when we go into sort of shock or stress mode, and that's a great thing And we have all these amazing things, and it would take way too long to talk about all of them, but there's all these amazing neurochemicals that happen in our body. So our body goes up like this, all these chemicals and hormones get put into our system naturally to help us come down. And we actually will go then below what we call homeostasis, is sort of like what would be our norm. Brings us down, and then a whole bunch more amazing neurochemicals and hormones get released to bring us back to homeostasis. And then we kind of, okay, well that was really kind of tough, but I got through it and I'm okay. I'm gonna truck along and do my thing. But we live in a society and a world, and I've seen this over and over and over again, where it's not sort of, let's go have one, let's go, it's like this. So what happens when that's our norm is that we become very dysregulated. So our norm for homeostasis is way up here. Our nervous systems are just like, and ready, any little thing sets us off. And so what's happening then is we are having a reaction. For example, I've had numerous car accidents. I've been rear-ended 4 times. I'm really uptight when I'm in a vehicle. So if I'm driving along and somebody looks like they might decide they want to like get a little too close to my car, I'm kind of going, ah. But all those chemicals that I need for fight or flight or to really handle a big deal, I'm way up here to start with. So they're getting dumped and really my body doesn't need them. So I'm getting dysregulated. I'm getting all these neurochemicals in my body that I don't actually need, whether it's adrenaline or cortisol or norepinephrine or whatever other big long words we want to talk about. But when they're being dumped in my system inappropriately, they actually can cause damage. So for example, when I'm getting certain one, cortisol for example, can also help, it's a pain numbing. Like if we get hurt, our body naturally dumps pain numbing, but if it's there and we don't need it, we start to see other ailments. We start to see things like fibromyalgia. We start to see chronic fatigue, and I see that a lot with a lot of the women I work with who've had traumatic histories, where they have all these mysterious illnesses and nobody can really figure out what it is. Well, their body is working against them, and it's actually setting us up for illness because our stress is just always up here. I'm always kind of on the edge, and so then our bodies don't know what to do with that. It can also look from a mental point of view like a depression or a really, sometimes ups and downs like this. Well, it's because our bodies are just reacting all the time, and we're getting all these amazing things that are meant to help us dumped in our body when we don't need it. So that's kind of really that I could, like I said, spend hours talking about this, and I like to. Because I really am passionate about helping people understand how their bodies work, how their brains work, and what can we do to help regulate again. So when I'm working with people and in my own life, how can the MonaVie products and how can the synergy, just even in terms of relationships with the people that are in your world, help to bring things back to norm? Now, one really kind of fun, cool fact I'm going to give you. Okay. One really fun thing that I just want to mention in terms of synergy and connectivity. One of the things I shared last month for any of you that were there is just the passion I have about connecting to people in a really genuine, integrous way and meeting people where they're at, because we live in a world as well where people are really isolated and they're really hurting, and we need community. We've lost community. So that's one of the things I love about MonaVie. And I was thinking yesterday about how Jan often does this wonderful thing where she has us all kind of smile at each other, and I was thinking about that in terms of some of the trainings I've offered and some of the things that I've done with people around attachment and around what happens with attachments to parents or attachments that have been broken or maybe weren't so healthy early on. And the power of our brain to release something called dopamine. So it links to Jan's smiling, because I don't know if you know this, but if you smile at a baby, when you're smiling at a baby, there's this massively fast connection that happens from eye to eye. So when I look at Fran, and I see Fran, and it makes me smile, and I'm happy to be with Fran, my brain is actually releasing dopamine, but it's also causing Fran's brain to release dopamine. Now, dopamine is the feel-good chemical. So when we're out doing what we're doing in community here and with the people that we're meeting and we're introducing products, there really is something to the science of connecting, because our brains are connecting at a neurochemical level, and it's a healing connection, because a lot of people who haven't had really healthy attachment, that's the one area that can actually heal in our brains amazingly well. So we can connect with each other and in community and with the people that we're meeting, and as we're introducing some products that are helping their bodies, and we can connect to them at a level that's healing them because we're genuinely glad to be with them. So that's a little tidbit for you with your kids, that you're actually building what is referred to sometimes as the joy center. There's a part of our brain where the dopamine gets released, and it's building joy, and joy is what gives us healthy brains. So that's a little aside. So balance. So where does balance fit into this? So when we think about the neurology, the stress, how stress is affecting every part of us. It's affecting us physically, it's affecting us mentally. We're not thinking clearly, we're not able to focus. I see that a lot with kids who are being diagnosed with ADD or ADHD, that actually they're just really anxious a lot of times, or they've had some traumatic experience, and their brain is just on hyper alert and they can't focus because that's how we're wired. So when we are looking at the products, when we look at balance, what we have in our hands is an opportunity to offer people some peace. It's an opportunity to look at things like cortisol, and one of the things you know about cortisol, and Dr. Sean Talbot's done a ton of research on this, and I really encourage you to get on the touch point or into the MonaVie sites to read up on some of that information about the details of balance, because cortisol for most people is dysregulated because under stress it gets flipped. We should have lots of cortisol early on in the morning so that we can get through the day, and then less in the evening so we can sleep. But under chronic stress, when we're dysregulated and all this other stuff's happening in our body, it gets flipped on its head. So we're sluggish through the day, we're not sleeping at night, and that creates a whole other set of problems. Depression is now being shown to be a result of poor sleep, not the other way around. We used to think depression caused poor sleep. Now the most current research on sleep is showing that actually depression is an output of that. So we need to understand the impact of poor sleep, and we will have rest soon. And in the meantime, we have balance anyway. I'll dig it out of him some. When is it coming? We need to be offering people that peace of mind. And with balance, we've got a non-stimulant, non-sedative product that is full of natural herbs and extracts. And you can all look up all the specifics of that. So we've got things like ashwagandha and pine bark extracts and things that are actually helping our bodies to best deal with stress. It's got adaptogens in it that help us to deal with stress. But if we can help people's stress levels come down, just in everyday life, never mind whatever else they might be carrying around, we are doing a huge, huge service to people. And it is affordable, and I was very excited, and I'm a big proponent of natural health, but I know what that costs for most people. To go and be able to buy all the different supplements that they need, as wonderful as they are, a lot of times I can't help people do that. They love to, but they don't have that option. So it's very affordable. And it's important to be remembering that it's not a stimulant and not a sedative, because sometimes people get a bit sketchy about that. It's like, well, what is it going to do to me? These are amazing natural balanced cortisol levels to give us an overall feeling of well-being. And our world needs these products. And what I love in terms of the synergy is that when people are more relaxed and more at peace and not as stressed out, their body can use nutrients more efficiently. So when we're drinking the juices and we're doing balance, we're actually absorbing more of these products when we're doing Reveal. All of that's working again in synergy. So it's all a part of the process of what MonaVie is offering to the communities that we're a part of, to us as a community here. But understanding how important it is to get stress under control in terms of nutrition, in terms of our physical well-being. I mean, if you think about it, any of you who've ever tried to work out, myself included, if if I'm super stressed out, I'm not sleeping at night, so yeah, good luck getting up in the morning. It's like, yeah, that is so not happening, except in my mind. In my mind, I just did, I don't know, 5K, and I'm super fit right now. But other than that, it's not happening. So being able to bring the stress levels down helps us to be able to be more fit, to get on the program that Mark's bringing to us, which is just amazing. Understanding the blood sugar levels along with what is going on in my body, how is balance really helping, getting those cortisol levels down. And there is more to it than just cortisol, but that would take another 3 hours to talk about. But that's why balance really is true to its name. It's balancing everything in a lot of ways so that your body can absorb everything it needs to. It can regulate its blood sugar even more efficiently than it's going to do with the Reveal program, because cortisol is part of blood sugar regulation as well. So they all work together. We are all going to work together. This is all going to work together, and we can really bring peace, happiness, health, well-being, connection, community, and it just sounds so doable. And with the new products, it's just getting easier and easier to do it. We have Touchpoint now that can help us with the science. You don't have to know all these big long names of norepinephrine and neurochemicals or anything. You don't need to know that. We've got the tools to help us with that. But we also as a community can come together, and if somebody needs to know or you need to ask this question, we can. And that's the beauty of the MonaVie community. So I think that's probably my time. I hope that was helpful.